You ever get that feeling that your phone somehow knows what you're going to create next? You know, when an idea pops into your head and it feels just a little familiar? Well, it's because those invisible algorithms on all our favorite platforms, they're doing way more than just recommending what to watch. They are subtly but surely shaping our very creativity. So let's really get into this. We're going to start by looking at these personalized bubbles we all live in. Then we'll peel back the layers on the bias that's baked into the code. From there, we'll explore AI's wild new role as a creative partner, talk about the real risk of a creative monoculture, and finally figure out how we can reclaim our own unique spark in all this. I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? That moment that's kind of spooky but also kind of cool when a streaming service suggests the absolute perfect show. It's a feeling that participants in a study nailed perfectly, and it's our way into understanding this whole algorithmic world. But how does this magic trick actually work? To get that, we need to step inside something called the filter bubble. Okay, so what researchers mean by a filter bubble is basically this unique, personalized universe that gets built around you. An algorithm creates a feedback loop from everything you've done before, and that can kind of isolate you from different ideas by just showing you more and more of what it thinks you already like. Right, and this visual here shows the constant tightrope act these platforms are on. On one side, you've got high personalization, content that feels like it was made just for you. On the other, you've got high diversity, new, unexpected stuff. The platforms are always trying to hit that sweet spot in the middle, that desirable area. So they give you enough of what you love, but also surprise you so you don't get bored and click away. And that leads us to a really important question. If the algorithm is our personal curator, picking and choosing what we see, what are its own built-in biases? Yeah, because it's not just about what we happen to like. The algorithm has its own set of preferences, you could say, biases that are baked right into the code from day one. And look, this isn't just some random glitch in the system. Algorithmic bias is something else entirely. It's this repeatable, systemic tendency where a system consistently creates unfair outcomes. You know, it might privilege one group over another or one type of content over another. And in doing so, it just ends up reinforcing the societal patterns that already exist. A report from NIST actually breaks this down into three main types. First, you've got systemic bias, which just mirrors the prejudices already floating around in our society. Then there's statistical bias, which happens because of bad or incomplete data. And finally, you have human bias, which gets introduced by the very people who design and use these things. So here's the bottom line. AI systems are a product of our world, which means they can inherit all of its flaws. And the real danger? They can then amplify those flaws at a speed and scale that is just mind-boggling. But now, things are getting even weirder, even more complex. We're seeing this massive shift in what AI does. It's moving from being a simple curator to an active co-creator. This just blows the doors wide open to a huge new world. It has massive implications for what we even call art, what creativity is, and maybe the biggest question of all, who owns an idea? This slide just perfectly illustrates the legal maze the US Copyright Office is trying to navigate. On one side, you have AI as a tool, right? Like using Photoshop. The human is obviously the author, and the work gets a copyright. But on the other side, you've got AI generating a whole work from a simple text prompt. And all of a sudden, who the author is becomes a super murky legal mess. So the more we lean on these incredibly powerful tools, the more we start doing something called cognitive offloading. What that really means is we start to outsource parts of our thinking, things like brainstorming or problem solving, even just remembering stuff. We hand it all over to the machine. And that reliance, it has a real human cost. A participant in one study on AI tools put words to a fear I think a lot of us have, that by offloading our thinking, we might actually be losing the ability to, well, to think for ourselves. Okay, so this brings us to what might be the biggest fear about this whole algorithmic future. With AI recommending what we watch and now helping us create it, are we all just heading toward the same exact creative endpoint? Is the sheer efficiency of these tools pushing all of us, creators and consumers alike, toward this single, optimal, and let's be honest, kind of bland style? And this isn't just some vague feeling people have. There's actual data on this. A study of Netflix user reviews found something really interesting. For movies and shows that the algorithm recommended, a full 23%, almost a quarter, of the negative comments complained that it was just too predictable. People are starting to notice the formula. And here's where that feedback loop really kicks in. The study also found that the more people relied on these systems, the more they seemed to prefer the simple, easy-to-digest stories, which, of course, are exactly what the algorithms are best at serving up. But, okay, it's not all doom and gloom. It turns out the tool itself might not be the problem, it's how we use it. Research is also showing that when humans collaborate with AI, when they use it like a partner, they can actually come up with more diverse and unique ideas than either the human or the AI could on their own. So, here's the thing. We are not just passive victims in all this. We have agency. We can absolutely learn to think outside the algorithmic box that's being built around us. And people are already doing it in really clever ways. They're coming up with these resistance strategies, like creating decoy profiles just for mindless watching so they can keep their main recommendations clean. Or they're intentionally seeking out human critics to break that algorithmic cycle. You know, another way we can fight back is by borrowing some ideas from concepts like deep work. It's really all about being intentional. It means scheduling time, real dedicated time for deep, focused creation with zero digital distractions. And just as important, scheduling real downtime. When you do that, you create this space for your own totally unprompted ideas to come through. You know, the kind of ideas the algorithm could never, ever predict. Look, at the end of the day, these incredibly powerful tools, they aren't going anywhere. In fact, they're becoming more and more a part of our lives every single day. So the question isn't really if we're going to use them anymore. The real question is, how are we going to choose to use them to forge our own truly original creative path?